Welcome back to the April edition of What's Up Stratford. Joining me is Connor, who is the Deputy Chief Building Official for the City of Stratford. Connor, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Peter.
January 1st of this year saw the Ontario Building Code change. Tell us just at a high level what that meant and how it impacts Stratford.
Yeah, absolutely. So the new version of the Ontario Building Code is the 2024 OBC. It came into effect in January 1st, 2025, with a bit of an overlap period for some integration with ongoing projects. So the 2012 Building Code is still actually in effect and can be applied and used up till the date of March 31st, just to get a little bit of overlap for projects that were ongoing in the end of last year that kind of take a little bit more time to get prepped and started. But for the new code taking over, it is in effect as of January 1st. So projects meeting that. The largest changes that we're seeing are in farm buildings. So the new installation of Part 2 of the Ontario Building Code is to deal solely with farm buildings. The City of Stratford doesn't deal with too many farm buildings, but as far as the province of Ontario, it was a large upgrade from the existing national farm building code, which is still in effect. However, it's brought a little bit more into help harmonize a little bit of that information. Some of the big things we're seeing in the residential sector, and we're going to see more here in the city of Stratford, is radon rough-in. So radon being a toxic silent gas. You cannot smell, you cannot see it, taste it. It's in the bedrock in the soil. So we have some new depressurization requirements for new homes. So what that looks like is a rough-in underneath the slab to help contain and depressurize that gas if it's building up underneath the house, and a rough-in to then help just pass it back through to the exterior of the building so it doesn't go through the home. Another big change we're seeing is the definition of house change into two definitions. Removing house, which used to be a building up to 2 dwelling units. We're now seeing houses being more referred to as single family dwellings, but no longer defined. And then we're seeing the new definition of what is a secondary dwelling unit or a secondary suite. And so that helps define the primary use and a secondary use within a home, as we're seeing a lot more conversions and the need for housing, not only in our area, but across the province. There are a few more updates in regards to some window requirements and guarding requirements, as well as the requirements for more carbon monoxide alarms in homes. So more areas requiring them adjacent to rooms or spaces that would have carbon monoxide present to help better prevent that from entering the dwelling unit, and greater early warning and detection system for those occupants inside. Those are some of the larger changes coming in the new 2025 building code for residential.
Now, this past winter, we saw a significant amount of snowfall. We've heard of multiple buildings collapse in Ontario. How does this impact either snow load or wind zoned in our area?
So for snow loading, that is a separate part of the building code. So it's all tableized. Where you live can have a different snow loading, wind loading, rain loading. So we've seen that update in part 4 of the OBC, where there have been some increases to requirements for design, especially in farm buildings. We're seeing more increase in what is required to be designed, and for engineers to take a look at that when designing, or qualified designers under part 4 of the OBC. It's more site specific and building specific in that regards, but there have been some more requirements for what designers and engineers need to take into account when designing these new structures.
So, Connor, downtown is a heritage zone, or we have a lot of heritage buildings. We have a lot of Edwardian and Victorian beautiful homes. How does this building code, or when would it apply to those structures?
Yeah, so for the OBC and our heritage, they work together, but a lot of times they work independently of each other. So in our downtown core, we have class 5 heritage designated properties. Within anything inside the core, the exterior of the buildings are classified heritage class 5, sorry. And so that's governed. We do heritage permits. So when you're doing an alteration to a building, our heritage committee needs to review applications and make adjustments to what they feel is best for that building, and to keep the heritage aspects of those buildings up to date. When we get trailing kind of some inside the downtown core and we start expanding into all of Stratford, we have class 4 designations, which can have individual attributes of individual buildings that are then deemed required for heritage aspects. So then a larger scope of renovations, not only applying to the building code, but also heritage, will kind of play more of an interface or overlapping role with each other. One doesn't necessarily impact the other greater than it did with the last building code. They both still work together quite well.
Connor, thank you very much for joining me.
Yeah, no problems at all. Thank you so much.
If you're in doubt, contact the City of Stratford and they'll give you some guidance. Coming up next is Mayor Martin Ritzma.